The classroom lights dimmed as the hollow projector shifted from the anatomy of a Zayland fungus to the closing summary slide. The professor's monotone voice faded into background noise, and most cadets were already packing away their styluses and tablets. It was the last lecture of the day. Everyone's thoughts drifted toward food, sleep, or the simulated rec dome. Jason Hale leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, rocking lazily on two legs. He wasn't in a hurry. Unlike most of his classmates, he never seemed worn down by the endless grind of academy lessons. His brown hair hung loose, framing a grin that usually meant trouble was coming. Before dismissal, Professor Knauth intoned, "Remember, tomorrow's field assessment is mandatory. Failure to attend will result in expulsion from coursework credit." A collective groan spread through the room. Jason yawned, stretched, then raised a hand. "Professor?" Dozens of heads turned toward him. Knauth's multifaceted eyes blinked in annoyance. "Yes, Cadet Hale?" Jason's grin widened. "Quick clarification. Tomorrow's assessment ends before sunset, right?" "Correct." "Why?" Jason shrugged casually. "Just making sure. I've got plans after school." The room quieted a little. Cadets rarely announced personal schedules aloud, especially humans. Too often it involved something reckless. A three-eyed Trillin across the aisle leaned forward. "Plans?" Jason nodded. "Yeah. I'm heading down to the surface. Thought I'd check out the Black Ruins. Heard the sunsets down there are spectacular." The silence hit like a blast wave. One cadet dropped her stylus. Another hissed through sharp teeth. A pair of Averin twins whispered rapidly in their clicking tongue, both staring at Jason as though he just declared he was going to swallow plasma fire. The Black Ruins. Every cadet knew the name. Every briefing hammered the same warning: forbidden. No expeditions returned intact. The ruins pulsed with unstable energy fields, corrosive atmosphere pockets, and collapsing structures that swallowed drones whole. No species considered them explorable. They were listed as a do not approach hazard zone. Professor Knauth froze, voice strangled. "You will repeat that, cadet?" Jason leaned back further, balancing his chair without a care. "After school tomorrow, I'm going to the Black Ruins." The class erupted. A kite in armored wool slammed his mandibles shut in alarm. "That place is cursed! You'll die in seconds!" shouted a Filari with translucent gill slits quivering in horror. "Union law forbids it!" cried another cadet, his frilled crest standing on end. Jason waved a hand, as if batting away flies. "Relax. I've read the reports. It's dangerous, sure, but half the danger is exaggerated. You just need the right prep and a bit of caution. Humans do this kind of thing all the time." Gasps echoed louder. The three-eyed Trillin gawked. "Humans do this all the time? You're insane!" Jason smirked. "Depends on your definition of insane." Professor Knauth slammed a clawed hand onto the podium. "Cadet Hale! Enough of this nonsense. Do you think flippancy protects you from reality? The ruins kill. That is fact." Jason leaned forward, elbows on his desk. His grin didn't fade. "With respect, Professor, so does half of Earth. Poisonous jungles. Freezing tundras. Radiation zones. We didn't ban them, we explored them. Ruins can be explored too." Murmurs swept through the cadets, disbelief mixing with a strange, growing curiosity. From the back row, a deep voice cut through the noise. "This proves my point." All eyes turned. Prefect Ryzek rose from his seat, tall and imposing, his scaled armor gleaming under the classroom lights. As senior cadet and member of the Discipline Council, his word carried weight. "Humans," Ryzek growled, "cannot be trusted. They court death for amusement, then call it courage. You would drag this academy's name into disgrace with such idiocy." Jason met his gaze without blinking. "It's not idiocy. It's curiosity. Big difference. Curiosity without restraint is madness." Ryzek shot back. "No cadet under my watch will defy academy law." Jason tilted his head, as if weighing the words. Then he smirked again. Good thing I wasn't asking for permission. The class sucked in air collectively. Ryzek's spines bristled. You dare? Jason interrupted with a shrug. I'm just saying, after school I've got free time. Some people play games. Some hit the gym. Me? I like ruins. Professor Neltha's composure shattered. Hale, this is not Earth. You will report to Council Review immediately if you so much as approach. Jason stood, slinging his pack over his shoulder. Sure. Council Review lectures, warnings. Heard it all before. Still going. The dismissal chime rang, cutting through the chaos. Cadets filed out in a storm of whispers. Some stared at Jason like he'd grown horns. Others looked at him with something different, fascination, maybe even admiration. The word rippled through the crowd, Deathworlder. Jason walked casually toward the exit, ignoring the glares, the whispers, the professor's sputtered threats. He moved like someone announcing he was going to grab dinner, not step into a death trap. At the doorway he paused. Prefect Ryzek blocked his path, towering over him. If you go, human, the ruins will claim you. And I will make certain your recklessness ends there. Jason met his eyes calmly. Then I guess we'll see which one of us comes back after school. He walked out without looking back, leaving the classroom frozen in stunned silence. The summons arrived before dawn. Jason Hale was ordered to report to the Discipline Council chamber immediately. He walked the corridor in no rush, hands tucked in his jacket, ignoring the stares that followed him. Cadets whispered as he passed, their antennae twitching, crests rippling, mandibles clattering, half horrified, half fascinated. The human who declared he was going to the Black Ruins had become the Academy's newest myth overnight. The chamber itself was designed for intimidation. A wide semicircle of elevated seats curved around a single platform in the center. Walls shimmered with soft blue light that absorbed sound, forcing every word to land heavy. Prefect Ryzek stood at the center dais, scales gleaming under the chamber's light. His spines bristled in silent fury. Around him sat 5 other senior cadets of varying species, their expressions stern. At the far end, Professor Nelth presided with cold detachment. Jason stepped onto the platform, hands in his pockets. Morning. Ryzek's eyes narrowed. Cadet Hale. You stand here accused of gross recklessness, endangering the Academy's reputation, and announcing intent to violate Union safety laws. Do you deny it? Jason tilted his head. Depends which part. I definitely said I was going. Not sure about the gross part. That's subjective. The chamber rustled with disapproving murmurs. Nelth raised a claw. Silence. Prefect, proceed. Ryzek leaned forward. You told an entire class you would enter the Black Ruins after school. Explain yourself? Jason shrugged. I like exploring. I grew up hearing stories about places people weren't supposed to go, mountains, oceans, deserts. Half the time, those places became maps because someone ignored the warnings. That is not bravery, Ryzek snapped. That is suicide with delusions of grandeur. Jason met his gaze. Funny. That's exactly what people said about climbing Everest. Or diving into the Mariana Trench. Or flying to the moon in tin cans held together with bolts and duct tape. Yet here we are. A ripple of confusion passed through the council. Most of them had only read human history in textbooks. Hearing it from the mouth of a Deathworlder made it sound less like mythology and more like a pattern. A scaled cadet on the council spoke. You equate forbidden ruins with mountains? Mountains, oceans, ruins, same difference, Jason replied. All places labeled impossible until someone tried. Humanity doesn't stop at warning signs. We test them. That's how we survive. Ryzek's voice cut through. Your species treats mortality as a toy. The Black Ruins have killed every drone, every probe, every crew that dared step inside. And you, child of a death world, think you can stroll in and survive? Jason grinned faintly. That's the plan. The chamber erupted. Some cadets shouted for expulsion. Others leaned forward, caught between outrage and awe. Professor Nelth raised a hand again, silencing the room. His compound eyes fixed on Jason. Tell me, Cadet Hale. Why? What compels you to defy reason? Jason hesitated. For the first time, the grin faltered. He rubbed the back of his neck, searching for the right words. Because the unknown is the only thing worth chasing. You can spend your life boxed in by rules, or you can see what's out there. If I fail, fine. But if I succeed? Then we know more than we did yesterday. His voice carried differently this time. Less defiance, more conviction. The chamber quieted. Even Ryzek stilled for a heartbeat, before his anger surged back. You romanticize death, Ryzek growled. And you will drag us with you. He slammed his claw on the dais. I demand this cadet be confined to quarters until transport returns him to Earth. Jason's eyes narrowed. So much for the Academy's motto, truth through discovery. Guess it's more like safety through avoidance. The council erupted again, scandalized at the mockery. Nelth raised his voice for the first time. Enough! The silence returned instantly. He regarded Jason with a long, unreadable stare. Your words reek of arrogance, but also of clarity. You will not be confined. However, Jason arched an eyebrow. Nelth continued. Should you choose to enter the ruins, you do so outside Academy sanction. If you return alive, your survival will speak for itself. If not, your death will serve as warning. This council will not shield you from consequence. Ryzek rose sharply. Professor, you cannot. Nelth cut him off. I can. The Union must see truth, not censorship. We will not prevent this human from learning the cost of his curiosity. Jason smiled faintly. Sounds fair. The chamber buzzed with disbelief. The official record marked it down. Jason Hale permitted unsanctioned entry into the Black Ruins at his own risk. Ryzek stepped close to Jason as the council dismissed. His voice dropped to a low snarl only Jason could hear. When the ruins break you, I will watch. And I will ensure your species learns its place. Jason leaned closer, unflinching. When I come back, Prefect, you'll be the first to call me Deathworlder with respect. Later that day, whispers spread like wildfire. Cadets in the mess hall debated endlessly. Was the human mad? Would he actually go? Some were horrified. Some were fascinated. A few quietly admitted they hoped he succeeded. Jason sat at a corner table, eating like nothing was unusual. When an Avern approached nervously and asked, Are you truly going? He only smiled and said, After school, like I said. For the rest of the academy, the ruins had become a graveyard. For Jason Hale, they were just another after-school plan. The shuttle descended in silence. Jason Hale sat near the viewport, watching clouds burn orange under the twin suns of Avenes. The other cadets had spent breakfast whispering about him, but none followed openly. Curiosity was strong, fear stronger. By the time the shuttle doors hissed open at the drop point, Jason stood alone. The ruins stretched in the distance, black spires jutting from the earth like broken teeth, their surfaces rippling faintly with energy fields. No wind stirred here. Even the air seemed reluctant to move. Jason adjusted his pack, checked the filters on his rebreather, and started walking. Each step sank into soil that pulsed faintly, as though remembering old life. His boots crackled against unseen static. Halfway to the entrance, he glanced up. On a ridge above, shadows shifted. Aliens. His classmates had come anyway, hidden to watch what they thought would be his last mistake. He smirked. Told you it was after-school plans. The mouth of the ruins yawned before him, a collapsed archway humming with faint light. Jason pulled out a handheld monitor. Readings spiked erratically, warning of radiation, unstable gravity pockets, and chemical toxins. He pocketed it. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Inside, darkness swallowed sound. Walls twisted at unnatural angles, glyphs carved deep into stone glowed faint blue, flickering like dying stars. Jason ran his hand along one. Alien graffiti. Wonder if it says turn back. A low hum filled the corridor. Static crawled across his skin, prickling hair on his arms. The first trap. He tossed the coin-sized probe forward. It hovered, then collapsed mid-air as if crushed by invisible weight. Jason squatted, examining the distortion. Gravity shear. Nasty one. Guess we crawl. He dropped flat, dragging himself under the invisible barrier until the air cleared. Behind him, he heard gasps echo faintly from the ridge. So they were watching closer than he thought. Deeper in, a chamber opened wide. Pools of liquid shimmered across the floor, glowing faint green. Jason crouched, dipping a finger near one. It hissed against the metal tip of his glove. Acidic. Deadly to most. He scanned the ceiling. Roots, or what looked like roots, hung down, dry and fibrous. He grinned. Thanks for the rope, mystery architects. He scaled across the chamber, swinging from one root to the next until his boots landed safely on the far side. He dusted off his hands, muttering, "See? Gym class was good for something." The next passage narrowed until only one figure could squeeze through at a time. The walls pulsed with faint violet light, and whispers trickled faintly in the air, nonsensical, eerie, like voices caught between frequencies. Jason slowed, listening. "You don't belong." He chuckled. "That's the story of my life." The air thickened. His lungs burned despite the rebreather. Poison. He adjusted the filters, but readings still spiked. His vision blurred. He sat against the wall, forced his breathing steady. "Not today," he whispered. He pulled a capsule from his pack, a charcoal-based binder, standard human field gear for toxins. He chewed, grimacing at the taste. Slowly, his vision cleared, air returning sharp to his lungs. Jason pushed to his feet, muttering to himself. "Mom always said carry backups." Finally, he reached the heart of the ruins. A circular chamber stretched wide, filled with crystalline structures jutting upward. At the center stood a pedestal, faintly glowing. On it rested a fragment of black stone, etched with lines that shifted as though alive. Jason approached slowly. Every instinct told him to stop. Every warning in the report screamed death trap. But his curiosity burned hotter. He reached out, fingers brushing the stone. The chamber flared with light. Energy surged through the ruins, shaking the ground. Jason staggered but didn't let go. For a heartbeat, visions flashed across his mind, worlds collapsing, species vanishing, explorers screaming as walls closed around them. Then silence. The stone lay still in his palm, its glow dimmed, as if conceding. Jason slipped it into his pack, exhaled sharply. "Guess the tension's gonna be rough after this." When he emerged from the ruins hours later, the twin suns were setting. Shadows stretched long across the valley. On the ridge, dozens of cadets waited, wide-eyed and silent. None dared step closer. Jason raised a hand in casual greeting. "Told you. After-school plans." A murmur spread through the group. Some whispered in disbelief, others in awe. The word carried, low at first, then louder, Deathworlder. Prefect Ryzek pushed through the crowd, face twisted in fury and disbelief. "Impossible. No one survives the core." Jason dropped his pack at Ryzek's feet. The black stone rolled out, etched lines still faintly shifting. "Looks like someone just did." The crowd gasped. Ryzek glared at him, jaw clenched. "This proves nothing. You risked everything for arrogance." Jason stepped closer, his voice calm, steady. "No. I risked it to prove we're more than reckless animals. We walk into places others fear, and sometimes we come back with answers. That's what humanity brings to this union. That's what being a Deathworlder means." The silence that followed was heavy, charged. For the first time, respect edged the whispers instead of ridicule. Jason looked up at the ridge, twin suns painting the sky crimson and gold. "Now, who's up for after-school adventure next time?" That night, stories spread across the academy like wildfire. Aliens who once sneered at humans spoke the word Deathworlder with awe. The ruins remained dangerous, but no longer untouchable. And Jason Hale, the human who went where no one dared, became more than a cadet. He became a reminder, that where the galaxy drew lines, humans crossed them.